Yeah. There. What are we talking about today?
Well, I think we should talk first about our high-tech microphone stand. This is terrific. This is my laser level stand, but it's doubling today as a microphone stand. Microphone's right there.
Hey, this is more expensive than a mic stand.
True. So,
do we need that stack of paper that you print out?
no.
Okay.
No. If we have the stack of paper, we'll talk for half an hour. Let them wait for the book.
Okay.
All right. Last month, we published it. Well, you published an article. You wrote the article.
I wrote the article.
You published the article.
He edited it.
I edited it so people would actually know what it meant.
Yeah, because everybody knows I can write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
the truth.
That's how that worked. That's not, well, yeah.
I can write.
Yeah.
Can write to save my life, no matter what language it's in. It's the truth.
It's
okay. Let's get to the topic.
One of the things that triggered that article. Let me give you an example, because this didn't specifically trigger the article, but here's the type of thing. I was in a local music store. I mean, I've heard it more than once, but this was about 2 months ago. And there were some young and clearly inexperienced guys wanting to buy a PA system. And there was a young and clearly inexperienced guy trying to sell it to them. And they were talking about the power handling abilities of the speakers in the PA system. And of course the conversation was, well, this PA system has 400 watts power handling capability, and this PA system has 1,000 watts power handling capability, so clearly this is going to be the louder PA system. Horse manure.
Does it stink?
It did stink. It did stink. I mean, and you see questions about this on forums all the time about, oh, I have speakers with this much power handling capability, so what amplifier should I get for those speakers? You know, should I get, if you know, what's the right ratio? If I have 400 watts of power handling ability in the speakers, do I need 200 watts? And the answer is absolutely, positively, no, you do not. That was the point of the article, to talk about what power handling is and what power output is and how those two things work together. In the article, we said a lot about what not to do.
Well, we try to avoid. Try to avoid mistakes.
Yeah, trying to avoid mistakes and expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. Here's some things that we should discuss. If we're going to say don't do this, we probably should jump in and say you can do this. The other thing, and I see this a lot in forums too, and this is the one that drives me absolutely nuts. The blanket statement that it is more possible to damage a speaker with a lower power amplifier than a higher powered amplifier. And don't get me wrong, well, that's not untrue. It matters on the conditions. Correct?
Yes.
Under what conditions are we going to blow a pair of speakers with a low powered amplifier?
Overdriven the amp. It's like if you have a 15 watt amp, you try to push or drive or hoping you can deliver 20 watt amps, you're going to clip at 15 watts, and this clipping is like DC level. And voice coil and speaker doesn't like flat line DC. It will heat up the coil, and eventually it'll blow.
Yeah. Now, interesting side topic there that nobody ever talks about is the fact that when you do that, you're probably going to blow the amplifier too. I mean, you're putting stress on the amplifier. You're putting stress on both the speaker and the amplifier, but you're putting a lot of stress on the amplifier.
Probably blow the amp first.
Yes. And the amp blowing is going to trigger the speaker to blow. So now, if you have a 15 watt amplifier you've got a pair of speakers, you're driving a pair of speakers with 500 watts power handling, the speakers are just going to say, so long, farewell.
And shall we tell why?
Yes.
With the 15 watt, it's just like clipping here, that low level, and then for a big coil for 500 watt amp, 500 watt speaker, big coil. Looking at that 15 watt, even at DC, it's just like a slight DC offset. Is no big deal.
Yeah, it's like a mosquito. It's really
warm. It's like a hand warmer for the coil.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's toasty warm.
Yeah.
Tell the amplifier to go.
Yeah.
Die. Done.
Be gone, mosquito. You're done. Thank you.
Yeah.
So under those conditions, yes, you can't. And I mean, yeah. But the bigger issue is if you're trying to drive it. And again, it's not the power handling. Like the power handling will defines how much power the speaker can handle. True. I mean, it's not a useless, completely irrelevant figure. But the fact of the matter remains, you're more likely to do damage to an amplifier if you're driving a pair of speakers of low sensitivity. I mean, sensitivity rated in at usually 2.83 volts.
2.83 volt RMS into 8 ohms equal to 1 watts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that number. So if you're driving a speaker that's that's really efficient, like if you're using that 15 watt amplifier to drive a pair of speakers that's 98 dB efficient, well, yeah, you know what? Yes, then you can overdrive those speakers and you can blow them. But I mean, if you're driving a pair of speakers that are not efficient, you're more likely to blow the amplifier. Like, there are some speakers that go down to 82 and they've got all sorts of strange resistance dips and things like in them too. So it's usually a pair of speakers that has a not very flat resistance or impedance curve or a really low efficiency. That's where you're going to blow an amplifier. And it's questionable. It's really, depending on the condition, it's questionable whether or not blowing the amplifier is going to blow the speakers. Again, high power handling speakers are just going to go, go away.
There's also one exception. The mosquito get too big.
The mosquito gets too big,
Yeah.
or it gives you malaria.
Well, that too, because when the amplifier blew, sometimes the output actually short to the rail.
Yep.
Meaning short to the supply rail. And that supply rail can be plus and minus 30 volt. And you're actually putting 30 volt DC direct into the speaker coil.
Yep.
And that is unlimited 30 volt DC
Yep.
power. And that a really big mosquito.
Yeah, that's a big bad mosquito. That's
a hornet. That's a hornet.
Kind of like a vampire, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe a hornet.
So say goodbye to your speaker in that case. Say goodbye to your amplifier in that case.
So technically, the amp did blow the
The
speaker.
amp already blew. Yeah. So again, it's conditional, right? But really, it's far more realistic that if you're using, a 400 watt amplifier, and they exist, and you're using a speaker with a 100 watt power handling, I mean that's a much easier scenario to see you blowing a speaker. So the whole, I don't want to call it a myth, because yes, it's possible. Our point is that it's equally possible to blow
Both things.
It depends on the conditions. You can't just say, it's much more likely that you're going to blow a speaker with a low power amplifier clipping. I mean, no, not necessarily. It depends on the speaker. It depends on the sensitivity of the speaker. It depends what you're doing or how you're doing it. It depends on the amplifier itself, on how it blows. So don't just jump to the conclusion that one scenario is much more likely to blow a speaker than the other scenario, because it's not necessarily.
So therefore, don't buy any amplifier and speaker trying to match the power handling and the output power based on those misinformation.
Yep. The other thing is, we also talked in that article about how, you shouldn't be matching an amplifier to a speaker of a certain power handling ability. Okay? What we didn't really talk about that much is how you should match an amplifier to a speaker. And there's a few criteria. I mean, at the end of the day, you hold the remote or you've got control of the volume knob, don't play stuff too loudly, because if you push stuff past its boundaries for a period of time, what happens is parts of the speaker heat up and they fail, and then things break.
You mean I cannot drive a 4-cylinder car into a tracks and run like 24/7 at 220 miles an hour?
Well, you won't make it even a single 24/7. No, you won't even make it to 200 miles an hour. It'll just kind of go.
Oh, so it's like
Yeah.
Oh.
So what are some of the factors? Well, here's one factor. How big is your room? Because we stated in the article that in a sort of a medium or a larger medium-sized room of like 20 by 16 with an 8-foot ceiling, 32 watts is going to drive a speaker of medium efficiency, which is about 90 dB, at 105 dB. And that's loud. Like, I play in a band 120 times a year, and I can count with this many fingers, or maybe it's easier to see, this many fingers, how many times we get over 105 dB. Now let's put that, no fingers, 0 fingers, none, we don't. And we're a rock band. We are a rock band. We are literally a rock band. Well, we play other things too, but that's a lot of volume. That is concert volume, and it's damaging to your ears. It really is. So that there's our public service warning. So, how big is your room? What kind of speakers do you like? What kind of music do you like? What efficiency are the speakers? 90 is kind of a medium efficiency, or I should say, I guess I should call it medium sensitivity speaker. When you get down into 85, and don't forget dB doesn't work like 88's just a little bit more sensitive than 85. 88 dB is a lot more sensitive than 85 dB, right? It's a logarithmic scale, although it doesn't work exactly logarithmically, does it?
Close enough. But there's also loudness. It's not so much about 3 dB, it's always 10 dB, but it's double the loudness, but you don't really want to use your hearing as a gauge.
No, you don't. And I mean the problem too is that you can definitely hear, like, the difference between, as in another video I talked about some speakers that were 90 dB and 91 dB. You can hear the loudness difference quite clearly between those speakers. So what else do we want to talk about? Speaker, I mean, we talked about efficiency, we talked about size of the room. What other factors are involved in matching amplifiers to speakers?
That's another book.
Give them the intro to that book.
Well, it is,
because you're not writing a book.
I'm not.
And I'm not editing a book.
No. I'm not going to waste my time to write something that even you won't understand. Not so much about technically you won't understand. It's just like you want me to put words down. No. So I'm going to try to say it. If you hook up an amp to a speaker that sound right to you, that's halfway there. If it doesn't sound right to you, you got to find something else. And then you can start thinking what type of amp that sounds good on what type of speaker. That's not always sound good. One type of amp doesn't sound good on one type of speaker, and vice versa. And then there's all kind of different speaker design, all kind of different amplifier design. They all sound different.
Yep.
That's the prelude of the book.
Yeah, and it depends on your musical taste.
Yep.
I mean, essentially, that's the biggest criteria right there. What suits your music?
Yep. And when it gets to that point, the wattage doesn't really matter anymore. And then, as a matter of fact, we just done a video behind us. There's a 25 watt amp, and it sounds different than 120, 110, 130 watt amps. My design, same, designed by the same person, built by the same person, hooked up to the same pair of speaker. They sound different at the same volume. But the one is 25 watt, one is 130 watt. It's not because of the wattage. There's a lot more different than that. But that's another book.
That's the third book.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're writing a series of books.
I'm keeping my day job.
Yeah. Probably not a bad idea.
I probably sell more shoes and clothes than my books, beside audio.
Well, to be fair, you've never tried.
I'm old enough to know what not to try. Are we done?
I think we're done.
You did most of the talking anyway.
Well, because I'm smarter than you.
And no argument of that. I'm just making fun here.
Anyway, have you got the card? It's over there.
You want a dumb guy get the card?
Yeah. Lackeys get the cards.
Which one do we show first?
Show yours
sir?
first. Show yours first. Absolutely. You're more important.
Well, how am I supposed to show? It's that far away.
Well. Go closer.
All right, you do the talking.
If you want to ask any questions by email, check out, or if you want any information about, and notice we didn't even try and sell you any of our equipment today. It's all about listening to other stuff. Put it back up. If you want to ask questions, if you've got questions about this video or anything else, check out Angela-Gilbert.com. There's some kind of a link there where you can email questions in if you like. Or
that's called contact page.
Contact page? Yeah. Go to the contact page.
Yeah.
If you want to ask questions about the stuff I have in the shop here, or if you want me to answer questions, because I'm clearly the genius here, you can look at my website at ontractaudio.com. You can email me at ontractaudio@rogers.com. And I'm going to start doing this because Angela-Gilbert puts a lot of work into this YouTube channel. You know what? If you if you're engaged by the videos, if you're enjoying them, give them a like.
Hey,
make a comment. What else?
If I make enough money to buy Costco hot dog for a month, I don't eat that much Costco hot dogs, like 6 hot dogs a month. If I make enough money to buy 6 hot dogs a month, I'm happy. Or no, we haven't started making money yet, so you don't have to watch the advertising just yet.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Great. Shut it off.
All right. I'm gonna shut it off.
Yeah, shut it off.